Feeling lost in the maze of CPS? Desperate to get your child back? You're not alone. Countless parents face the heart-wrenching reality of family separation. The legal system can be overwhelming, but there's hope.
Now, here's the key, okay? That's how you win a 6-month hearing.
Thank you.
If you do all of those things, you're going to blow your social worker's mind, you're going to blow your attorney's mind, and you're going to blow away the judge.
With attorney Vincent W. Davis, a dedicated legal expert with 39 years of experience, committed to helping families like yours. Join his weekly live Q&A on Zoom, where you can ask your burning questions about CPS cases. Get the knowledge and strategies you need to fight for your child's return.
Alrighty, good evening everyone. This is a question and answer session for school, SKOOL, and this is the CPS school.
Are you ready to take control of your family's future? Join our school community for free to access weekly live Q&A sessions, or participate as a one-time guest. Don't let fear hold you back. Take the first step towards reuniting your family. Join us now.
Good morning and welcome. I'm Bob Pace. I'm your host, and here we are to fight CPS and hang on to our children. It's a hard subject, a hard topic that has endeared our lives, me included. I'm a father. I'm not a lawyer, but I'm a man that has raised 6 children and has over 42 years of marriage experiences. I have a lot of life skills that can help you. And I too was taken by CPS, who invaded my family and wrongly accused me and wrongly took my children. They trafficked my children into foster care where they suffered a physical harm and mental harm. They tried to alienate my family from us. They tried to destroy everything I worked hard for. But I've survived. I've been fighting them now for 15 years. It goes back to 2010. And I'll talk a little bit about my case, but right now I want to go over what is CPS? What is CPS? That's one of the things I want to make sure everybody understands about. Furthermore, I'm glad you found me. This is as I say, a live podcast, and you found me on Facebook, Fight CPS Bob Pace, and so I brought you here. Now, there are 8 rooms, including this room, that feed all together. So no matter what room you're in, you can text a comment to me or text me a question, and I'll receive it. Now, I'm on 7 days a week, twice a day. I'm on at 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific Standard Time, and again in the evening at 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. There are 1-hour podcasts. Now, on Saturday and Sunday, I come on at 8 o'clock in the morning. Saturday and Sunday, I come on at 8. And other times may be adjusted, but I'll let you know. But I'm glad you're here, and I've built quite a family of followers here that come to me every morning or every evening, and we talk about how to help their case. I know one follower has a case on the 2nd. I believe that is Tessa. On January 2nd is her hearing, and hopefully she'll be on again to talk about it. But I try to help y'all with rules that have come by. I've had 5 rules made up there. Now, coming into this room, you can do a lot of things. You can do emojis. You can follow me or get notified when I'm on. And furthermore, if you want to do more than just listen and take notes, all you have to do is text me a message. And I put up on the screen what the procedure of text and a message is. All you need to do is have it pertain to CPS. Now, I talked about CPS in the very beginning. What is CPS? To a lot of people, it can mean a lot of things. But to me, it's a child protection system. It's a system of agencies in every county, every state, worldwide. It's every state, county, and worldwide. Now, every place has, it seems, its own unique acronym or unique what CPS is. Now, I just call it the system. It's a system, so that way, when I talk about it, it means every state, every county, and worldwide. In the United States, is mandated by Congress to have a branch of social services protect our children from neglect and abuse. And they do so by either lay people calling in or professional people calling in. Professional people are like your doctors and school teachers and nurses and firemen and caregivers and, principals, counselors, anybody that deals professionally with children. They studied how to report CPS and what CPS is and how to protect our children. The other group of individuals are the laymen or the laywomen, or what you call them, the laymen. These are individuals that are your neighbors, your relatives, your friends, your family, acquaintances, those kinds of people. And they too, when they see something, can call it in. The only problem is they're not well trained, and sometimes they use it for alternative motives. Meaning, if they don't like your yard growing on their yard, they may make up a story that your children are endangered, which, finds that's not true. Or there may be a guy that doesn't like your dog barking and wants to retaliate. Or their parents that want to get the children. In my case, I had my in-laws, my wife's mother, father, 3 sisters and brothers. And they soon called in on me because they did not like me. They did not like my wife, their own daughter. And they were upset 31 years ago that we got married. And they never came to the wedding, and neither did her sisters. Or in fact, one sister was out here in California. She could have easily made, but she didn't. We go to her wedding. We're a different kind of people. We're loving people. We're caring people. As I say, I've raised a family of 6. Unfortunately, 3 of my younger children were trafficked by CPS in 2015. My CPS case started in 2010, shortly after I lost my job through no fault of my own. Now, this Congress says we want to protect them. And so what CPS, the Child Protection System, has done, and in certain states like Arizona, it's DCS, Department of Children's Services. In Kentucky, it's called the Cabinet. Even between counties next to each other, like Orange County and LA County in California, LA County calls Department of Children and Family Services. In Orange County, it's Child Protection Services. So when I see CPS, I mean all of them. And they're supposed to protect our children from neglect and abuse, but over 1,000 cases per day go unchecked. There are 1,000 children per day that are abused, that are hurt, and they shouldn't be. Instead, lately, the child protection system has been pursuing good, hardworking parents that maybe have gone through some rough times. I mean, some of the cases are ridiculous. A mother who is schizophrenic and has attacks, her husband knows how to help her. But instead, a layperson, a neighbor, calls and said the husband's attacking the child. CPS jumps into gear. You see, every time they get a report from a professional or layman, they believe the story is true. No facts, nothing. They just believe hearsay. And so right away, you're guilty until you're proven innocent, and you're treated like dirt and treated bad. CPS is not your friend. They're not a smile on your face. They don't help you. They don't care for you. They've turned rogue ever since, they found out that making $1 trillion a year is a little bit better making money than helping out families. It didn't help when President Clinton passed a law that says the incentive, meaning that they want to push social service, CPS, to put the children in foster care. And that's wrong. They need family reunification. And that's what CPS is supposed to do. They're supposed to do family reunification if they need to break up the family. If the child is in danger, then they will take the child. But there's procedures they have to do so. They cannot take a child without a warrant or your permission. And you don't want to give up your children. You don't want to talk to them. You don't want to see them. You don't want to open your door. You don't want to have them in your house. You don't want to go to their office. That's my rule number 3, and I'll talk a little bit there too. But I want to go back to what is CPS. They're also supposed to help out families in need, like food and clothing and shelter and transportation. Also medical and educational, and help you find a job. They're supposed to do all those things. They don't do that. They don't do family reunification because they get more money to put them in foster care. They get a bonus of $5,000 to $6,000 a month for every child they have adopted into foster care, on top of the $20,000 a month that they get per child. And that's in my Orange County. And that is funds that is easily released by the state and easily released by the federal government. The federal government always talks about their debt and how much money they owe. They have no control. And hopefully the new administration will start to have government control again. I think President-elect Trump has appointed Elon Musk to clean up the wasted spending that government does. There's so much of it. It's not only in CPS, where trillions of dollars comes from the federal government, but also there are religious cults in Utah. And one of them in particular, for the last 10 years, has received millions of dollars in federal funds so that they can produce a better, cheaper fuel. Well, to date, they have not produced one dot, but every year the government sends them millions of dollars. Or a toilet seat is invoiced from the military for $15,000. It doesn't cost $15,000 for a toilet seat. But the government is dumb. The government is totally done to let their money go out the window so easily. They need to tighten up, and that's what Elon Musk should do. So that should be there. But they also need to look at CPS. They need to tighten it up. There should be directors and there should be supervisors. And they should be able to be a watchdog. There should be accountability, which there isn't any. Boy, it's slow this morning. I don't see too many people on. But that's okay. Because a lot of the stuff, you can look at my other videos and hear it in detail. I've talked a lot about what CPS, besides having a watchdog over them, they need accountability. And sad to say, they give away so much wasteful money. So much wasteful money. So I'm telling you that there's got to be changes made. There was a lady that I believe she was murdered in her 70s. That was a senator from Georgia, Nancy Schaefer. And she fought CPS. She was an advocate and she wanted to eliminate CPS. I don't know. I don't think you want to eliminate anything. I think you want to make changes within. And they're really simple changes. President-elect Trump can maybe appoint the health and welfare director who maybe has a background of helping out families and helping out children in honesty. We need someone because that's where CPS is under, the health and welfare. That's a cabinet position. So I'm interested to see who he picks. But we need to have a board of directors, our supervisors that are watchdogs. They watch how the money's spent, and they need to have it at the federal level. They need to have it at the state level and the county level. All they have is a director, and the director gets fat and fat and fat. My director of Orange County CPS, which it was called the Child Protection Services, lives in a Taj Mahal, or works out of a Taj Mahal of a building. It's 14 stories, and it looks like the Emerald City, the Wizard of Oz. And only where he works in it. None of his workers work in that building. And when I met with him on several occasions, he had so much gold around his neck that I felt like offering him crutches so he wouldn't topple over. Everything I said went in one ear, went out the other ear. But I did try. I tried through numerous emails. I tried to fight CPS, but the more I fought, the worse it became. They were so unjust and so ridiculous. I'm educated. I can tell right off the bat that they're bad. And I did not have any training or knowledge about CPS, and I wish I did. Because what I know now, I would never have been in CPS. I would have never had my children stolen. In fact, one of my children would still be with me today. She was coerced and coached by my social worker in the Orange County system. She was told to emancipate from her parents. It means divorce her parents, her family. She was told to change her name, and she did. She was told to seal her birth certificate, and she did. She was given a new Social Security card, so she was double dipping. And on top of that, she was told to be adopted into a foster care family and have them be the parents of her, which is all wrong. That is illegal, the alienation. This social worker who did this was doing it in retaliation because my attorney, who I had hired, Vincent W. Davis, to get my kids back, caught her in a lie. She perjured herself up in court when she had sworn that she'd tell the truth. And it all boiled around where one of my wife's family members, her sister and husband, wanted to adopt our 12-year-old daughter. And that was wrong. We didn't want that to happen. So Vincent Davis, he's that good, questioned her about the qualities of these adopted parents. And the social worker said, oh, they're great parents, no problem with them. Then he questioned them. He says, well, was there any domestic violence? And she says, no domestic violence. Well, Mr. Davis went to his briefcase and pulled out a stack of reports and started reading them one by one. There were police reports of domestic violence at my wife's sister and husband. But not only domestic violence, there were physical domestic violence where they're hitting each other, hurting each other. That's not an environment you put a young child in. And so she lied. And the more he read the reports, the more she felt uneasy in the chair before the judge and all her peers. It was embarrassing to her. So she retaliated by telling his parents she's never going to see her daughter again. And so she coached. And our daughter was gone. She's 22 now, but she still has not come back to us. My sons see her, which I encourage, but she has no family. It's so weird that you could do that. Now, I know that they developed the law for good reasons, but that was not what they used it for. They used it for solely for retaliation, and my daughter didn't know anything better. There are children that may grow up with abusive parents, and that's what the law was created for. But my daughter had no abuse growing up. There was no unfound abuse. Neither did any of my other children. We were loving parents, and we had a beautiful home, which we had to sell for a quick sale to hire Mr. Davis. So anyway, we have somebody that's come in the room that I missed here. Let's see when you came in. Archie Mon. Oh, yes, you're from Liberia. And he's from Africa, the northern eastern country. And it's so good to hear from you, Archie. Happy belated Christmas, Merry Christmas, and Happy New Year. And he is the scout leader. That's what he does. They used to be called Boy Scouts, but now they're called Scouts. And so because they've invited girls and transgenders, they have all encompasses there. So that's why they're called Scouts. But anyway, he's a scout leader and he works with children. And I'm so glad to hear from you, Archie. And as I say, welcome to my room. He's been in numerous times. I haven't talked to him in a while. But he's one of the countries. You know, I have over 20 countries so far that have contacted me or contacted this podcast. This is a worldwide podcast. I've had Bangladesh, India, several countries in the Middle East, 6 countries in Africa, including South Africa, where I have 5 ladies that call in all the time about their problems with CPS. Then we go up to Europe, and I have had 8 countries there come to my podcast. Then across the pond, I have North America, and I've talked to 3 countries there, including every state in the United States, and including Washington, D.C. And I've also talked to a country in South America. Then going further west across the Pacific, I've talked to several people in New Zealand and Australia. So I have a worldwide audience, and I'm glad I do because it helps people discuss their cases and learn from everybody there. Now, we have a new person here that has joined the room. I don't know if you've been on before or not. The name is Phil Salva. Ever thought about using your platform to collect cases from parents who can't afford attorneys to fight DCF and have good proof of their misconduct, do a class action lawsuit? I'd love to do that, Phil. I'd love to do that. I'm not an attorney, Phil, but I have 15 years of fighting CPS, and I can tell you how corrupt they are. I've talked to over 800 people. You know, everybody in the United States, including Washington, D.C. I've been doing this for a year, twice a day, 14 shows a week, 14 podcasts. And I have a wealth of information to share with them. I've built up 5 rules that will help you with your case and so forth. But yeah, Phil, that sounds interesting. Where are you from, Phil? And what is your involvement with CPS? Glad to have you there. For one, have plenty of evidence of their misconduct they used to destroy my case in kidnapping my child. Well, there's also, you can do a lawsuit. When your case is closed, you could do a lawsuit of violating your constitutional, your civil rights. Now, our social worker, my social worker, committed perjury, and so she's very open. She'd be very open to sue her. But unfortunately, I didn't have the retainer to pay an attorney to go sue him. But I do work for an attorney, Mr. Vincent W. Davis, who not only fights CPS for 39 years and gotten children back, he also does lawsuits. And he's won both in federal and state courts. He's won millions of dollars. He's a pit bull of attorney. And right now he's fighting a case in Oklahoma. He has a couple cases in Northern California. And he's got cases in LA County, Orange County, Riverside County, and San Bernardino County. His office is out of Arcadia, California, south of LA. But he himself was once a foster care, so he knows firsthand. Now, I didn't experience CPS until I turned 60. And that was sad because I had to come up with the money to retain a good attorney to get my kids back, and I had to sell my home that I worked 45 years for. CPS took my home. CPS ruined my credit. CPS has making me look so bad that I can't seem to get a job because I don't know if it's because of my age or because of my involvement with CPS. I'm a very hard-working individual, and I have many different traits, many different skills. Right now, I work as a civil engineer, a senior civil engineer, either being a manager or a chief estimator, either generating sales or being a project manager or being an inspector. Those are the areas that I've worked in that field. So I'm very healthy and, willing to work for another 30 years. We had a president just recently die at 100, so I know that I'll at least live to 100. I want to work till I'm 100 or work further than that. I think as long as I stay there is healthy there. Now, Phil, you haven't told me where you're from. I'd like to know what part of the world you're from. They have money, but we have the numbers. What I gather, it looks like they're taking about 6,000 to 9,000 kids in my county alone every month. That's a lot. There's over 500,000 children that are being investigated in the United States. Over 500,000. And I'll believe that they take that many kids. I believe it. And the sad part is a lot of them did not have to be taken. The parents could have done classes or programs and been reunified because studies have shown the best parents are the biological parents. That is the best parents to raise kids. Yep, the worst of the worst. I don't know what county you're talking about or what state you're from, but I'm glad you're here and talking. Tell me more about your case. Yeah, Los Angeles County Department of Children and Family Services. Know that county well. It used to be called in 84 CPS, Child Protection Services, but they changed their name. I have no idea, but they changed the name. And that county is one of the largest counties in the country. So you have a case in LA County. How many children and what are the ages of your children that were trafficking into DCFS or CPS? I believe the supervisors are bad too. Yep. Supervisors and the directors. They don't have a very much structure of management. They don't know how to manage CPS. Fighting CPS is like open heart surgery. You have to have the skills to fight them because they're so corrupt. They lie so easily. They build you up and they take you down. Phil further says, yep, and our supervisors. You can't trust them. It's unbelievable. The great part about my case is the detective called them because of false allegations from my wife or ex-wife of a phone call death threat of which she has zero proof. Yep, when family members, including spouses, try to alienate your children and turn it gets really hard, Phil. I'm sorry to hear about that, Phil. That's a long time for domestic violence. That's a long time. Yep. Parental alienation. Those are good words. I know them well. Now, when you do text in, it's important that you show your first name, your city or county where the case was, and the state. Also, if you're from a country, please list your province or your country, as well as your first name and your city. Try to be complete with the case. Tell me as much as you can so I can help you and understand it. Now, I do want to talk about a third way of interacting this podcast, and that is to schedule as our guest on the show. All I ask you is to email to our producer, Grace at vincentwdavis.com. All you have to do is tell her I want to be on Bob's morning show or evening show, his Saturday show, or his Friday show. Anyway, one day of the week. And she'll take care of the rest when you email her. She'll give you a link to StreamYard, which is I use broadcasting on YouTube. StreamYard is my application I use. And so she gives you a link and you can get on and be on my show. Now, another thing too is she'll help you with the do's and don'ts of what you can do to be a guest on my show. So email her at Grace at vincentwdavis.com. Now, lastly, the fourth way to react with this podcast is you can call in to my phone number. It's 626 698 0990. 626 698 0990. And I use Vonage on my phone, but that's my office number. It will ring my phone. I will answer. Now, I only answer during the show hours. I did not answer before or after my show hours. So please call that number. Now, I have another number on the screen, 888-888-6582. That's the law office of Vincent W. Davis. You can call him to retain him if your mind's made up you want him. Also, if you need an attorney in immigration, divorce, illegal, property, claims, injury claims, so forth, he has those attorneys too. So make sure when you call in, you say that Bob Pace sent you. And then when you talk to Mr. Davis, tell him that Bob Pace sent you. So those two numbers are important. Now, going across the bottom of my screen is a ticket, which tells you how you can speak to Mr. Davis for 30 minutes for $60. You go to that website, type in, reserve the time, and pay your $60, and you'll get a 30-minute Zoom conference with Mr. Davis who will help you navigate and how to fight CPS and get your child back. So that is the special arrangements. Furthermore, if you call in and talk on the phone, or you're on my guest and talk on the air, you're entitled to a free 15-minute session with Mr. Davis. You heard me right. Free 15-minute session. It's a private Zoom meeting. All you have to do is after you've done your talking is put a request to me that you want to see Mr. Davis for 15 minutes, and I'll get you a chance to talk to him. So that's if you want to be a guest or the call in. Boy, my voice is not doing too well. I want to thank for the emojis coming in. And thank you, Cindy Griever. And Archie, thank you for the thumbs up, Archie. And thank you so much for coming on to my show, Archie. He's from South Africa, from the country called Liberia. Liberia. Okay, we've had, let me double check here. I'm having a little trouble with my computer until I get a new one. I just, the motherboard is so old. So, now, Phil further says he's had zero. Let me get something here to drink here. Hold on a second. Phil says he has zero probable cause for arrest. He made up history and used my dead father's history. Oh boy, that was terrible about the investigator. Zero domestic violence in 18 years. Well, I thought earlier you said you had a history of domestic violence. I'm a little bit confused here. I read it wrong, Phil. You're right. Zero history of domestic violence in 18 years. That was beautiful. You know, it's hard when you have a spouse that works against you. Now, the detective made up history and used my dead father's history. Now, what happened was some of the room messages came in right between the messages from Phil and Phil's messages here. So I'm trying to get back up there. Wow. Okay. They stopped the messages. So let me go ahead and take this down. Now my phone number is up there, and I welcome you all to call in. Now, I have 5 rules that are really important. And one of the first rules is that you get a juvenile family dependency lawyer. That is so important that you get that lawyer, because without that, you're going to have a rough time fighting CPS, because they lie, they're corrupt, and they'll eat you alive. They have all the money in the world to get the best lawyers. And you're probably saying, well, wait a minute. They gave me a lawyer. Well, if you took it, that's a mistake, because they want you to use a court-appointed attorney. Why? Because that court-appointed attorney has zero background in dependency juvenile family law. It also will not fight for your case, because they're friends of the court. They go and have lunch with the judge, or lunch with the social workers, or lunch with the social workers' attorneys, or they all play golf together. Also, they have a caseload of 30 more clients, and they won't fight for your case. They're looking for an easy way out. So you do not want to use court-appointed attorneys if you can help it. Now, most people are doing so because, why? They have no money, and they think, oh, it's a good deal. Well, it's not a good deal, because CPS will take advantage of that. Not only if you take a court-appointed attorney, then your children take a court-appointed attorney. Now you have 3 court-appointed children, your child, your husband, and wife. The sad part is they'll use it all against you. I don't know how to explain it to you, but it is suicide to use somebody that will not fight for your case. Also, if you take a court-appointed attorney or a public defender, whatever you want to call them, not only do they not have the training, but they won't fight for you. It's like, I had one, and it was ridiculous. It was a waste of time. It wasn't until I got Vincent Davis till I started getting my kids back. So I strongly urge you to look into an attorney. I had to do a quick sale of my home. My home I worked for. It was right near the beach, my dream home, and it's gone. Sadly, it's gone. But I was mortgagely heavy into debt, so I don't have that debt. I tell you, I was tricked by taking what's called a predatory loan. I did not know that Countrywide was doing that, where they sit there and they document and they double your income and they make it look like you qualified. That's why the banks failed in 2007 of predatory loans. Lenders were giving them out too easy. And the lenders were doing so because they got money for giving out loans. It was all about money. In fact, that's what the whole world is about, it seems like. Very few people I know would do anything for free or help out one another. We need to look at each other. We're all human beings on this world. And we should treat each other like how we want to be treated. That's my golden rule. Treat others of how you want to be treated. Never judge a person until you've walked in their moccasins. You don't know where they've been or where they travel, so you should treat them. That's an old Indian saying, never judge a person till you walk in their moccasins. You don't know the trials and tribulations that individual's been through. But if we all practice of being nice to one another and treating each other how we want to be treated, the world will be a better place. But it's too centered around money. And right now, inflation has gotten so bad. A carton of eggs where I live is $10 a carton. Milk is almost $5 a gallon. The only thing that's gone down has been gasoline, and I don't understand that. I mean, maybe the economy is going to get better or not. I don't know. Food people tell me it's going to take years before you see food come down again. And I don't know about you, but I'm on a limited budget, and I don't have very much to feed my family. I am trying to get a career job again and get back to where I can feed my family and can once a day buy a home. It took me a long time to save up for my first home, and it took me 3 homes till I got my current home that I had to quick sell. Anyway, it's history. We've got to move on. What happened is behind us. Right now, what has happened, you need to put it behind you. You need to fight for your kids, and you need to assure them they'll be all right. Now, when your kids are taken to foster care, they're told not to talk about the case. The social worker will not inform the kids that the parents are doing classes to get better, to maybe have your kids back. It is so difficult right now. Never in my furthest years would I ever experience what I've experienced now. It's really, really hard. It is hard. Now, we've had no more messages. I don't know what's happened to Phil or Phil was coming on strong, and I've lost you, Phil, or Archie. I have not heard from you, Archie. I'm glad that you did call in, but I always like you to text me more messages. Same with you, Phil. I want to know more about your case in LA County and how I can help. Now, I talked about rule number 1 is you need to have an attorney. And that's a must because it's like open heart surgery. Are you going to let a plumber work on your heart? Or another layman work on your heart? No. You're going to get a professional attorney that's trained, licensed, and that will do a job for you, who's trained in family juvenile dependency law. That's the area that CPS operates out of. So you need to go in that area. That's the area you need to do. Now, I am open up to questions or you being a guest on my show. And I've told you that by calling in or talking the show that you get a free 15-minute consultation from Mr. Davis. Also, my ticket below tells you about the 30-minute phone call for $60. You can talk to one of the best. You know, he will help you. He got my 2 boys back. But I did lose my daughter through no fault of Mr. Davis, but because of the retaliation of a social worker, a very evil social worker. Now, rule number 2 is your documentation. It's so important to document everything. And you want to collect all your documentation, your court papers, your class certificates, your program certificates, tests, your drug tests, and so forth. And you want to put it all in a large notebook, 3 inches thick or more, 3 ring. And you want to put a subject tab so you can group everything by subjects. And then you want to create a document called the incident time log. The incident time log is a list of all the incidents that have happened from you between you and the social services, the CPS worker, the social worker, the policeman, the school personnel, the teacher, the counselor, whatever it is. Maybe it's the doctor, whatever you have an incident with. Then you record the date, the time, the location, and who is involved. And that goes on the first line. The second line, it's going to be a summary of the incident. What was the incident all about? The third line is the outcome of the incident. How did it end? and you may not know it for a while. So leave it blank, and when you do know the incident, then you can put it in. Keep a couple spaces and do the next one, the next one. Soon you'll have 70, 80, 100 incidents. They will become important to you when you talk to the judge or when you talk to your attorney or you need to refresh something or look at something. You won't remember everything a year from now. I wish I'd done these laws. I wish I hired Mr. Davis right out of the gate. You should hire. When you meet or confronted by CPS, your next thing should be is what attorney do I talk to? And make sure that you ask two important questions with that attorney. Question 1, are you a juvenile family dependency lawyer who's fought CPS and got the children back? If the answer to that question is yes, the next question you ask, have you ever, when your CPS case is over, have you ever filed a lawsuit against CPS in federal or state courts and got money back? Now, if the answer is yes on that, then you got yourself a candidate to select from. You want to repeat that 2 other times. You want to get at least 3 quotes of attorneys, how much the retainer is, how long it would take. And you want to check their background on the internet. You want to, see what they claim themselves on the internet. So that's rule number 2. Rule number 3, I talked about it, is that you never open the door to anybody. You can have a special knock or ring with your family members and friends, and they can use that. But there's no reason to open door. Either someone wants to sell you something or something bad is going to happen. It may be a bad element in the neighborhood that wants to rob you, or it could be an over-anxious policeman checking domestic violence and shoot you dead on the spot. You just don't want to answer the door. Nothing really good comes from it. And if it's important to leave a notice on your door, how to contact or get back to them. You have your phone, you have your mailing address. That's all people need. So don't open the door. Never give permission to them enter the house. You don't want them to search your house or look at your house. Never surrender your children. Never go down to the office. Try to meet with them if you have to meet with them at a public place. Starbucks or McDonald's is an easy place to meet at. Starbucks or McDonald's. It's neutral and you can document everything. Okay, I'm still looking for comments coming in, and right now all I have is the room comments. I don't know where the people comments are. I have defense strategies 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. I have law offices of Vincent W. Davis and Associates. I have Fight CPS with Bob Pace, The Secret How to Fight CPS, Relatives Fight CPS, the reality series CPS, The Horror Stories, Fight CPS with Mrs. G, and Juvenile Dependency Child Protection Services. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rooms, including this room. And as I say, Phil Sava from LA County was the last person that spoke. And before Phil was Archie Mann, who's from Africa, from Liberia, that's talked numerous times before over the year. Okay, well, I'm waiting for comments there, Phil. I'd love to hear from you more. I don't know what happened to you. My phone number's up. Now, talking further on Rule 3 is that if you meet them outside, you can tell them time out. I need to have my attorney present. Anytime that you're involved with the law, your civil rights, you're supposed to have legal proceedings all through your case. All through your case. And with that being said, it's important. It's important. And it's a good way to do a timeout. You can tell them you can't talk any further. You need to have your attorney present. And then you can get their information. Now, when you deal with police, make sure you get their badge number. Because sometimes, unless they give you a business card, their name is different. Same thing with social workers. You need to check their ID and make sure who they say they are. And try to get a business card from either the police or the social worker. And you can tell them that you will meet with them. You're not trying to put them off. You just want to have proper representation. And believe me, there's things you can say. That's why you never want to talk to them. Now, another part of our rule number 3 is medical trafficking. What is medical trafficking? Well, lately, social workers, caseworkers, CPS workers have been working at hospitals or urgent cares. They do a lot of clerical work and so forth. But they also can be bad because they'll misread or misunderstood or assume something, and they'll take your children away. If your child's sick, you take them to urgent care or the emergency room, make sure you know who's there. If it happens to be a caseworker or social, do not talk to them. Stay away from them. Do not turn your children over to them. That also goes good if you're suddenly going to the hospital to have your child. Don't give your child over to social workers or the police. The reason being is that you may test positive or something, and right away the social worker will want to remove your child. They have to have a warrant. That is the only document that can make you do things you don't want to do, is a warrant. Warrant is a court order that a policeman or a social worker goes to court to get. And it's very explicit court order warrant. It's got to be signed by a judge. And it's got to be stamped. There's a hand stamp that goes over the signature that raises the paper through the signature. That makes it very difficult to forge. Also, the document has got to be issued on one of the weekdays, not a holiday or a weekday holiday, because court does not work on holidays. So you got to be careful about the date. Furthermore, it's got to be addressed to whoever the people that are responsible, and the allegations listed and the children listed. Also, the warrant has the date they can enter the home and do what they're supposed to do. Take your child, inspect your home, those kinds of things. So that warrant is an important document. There are too many forgeries that CPS uses. A PDF file does not work on the computer. It's got to be a physical warrant there. Hi, Phil. You called in. Glad to have you.
Well, trouble with the live chat, it was not allowing it to go through. So, yeah, as I was saying, with my case, this is something where I was completely shocked when at the, well, basically this is a whole case of parental alienation. A lot of terms I know now in hindsight, but she was doing a lot of things that I could see what she was doing. I just didn't know there were terms for it, But what she was doing is we had 50-50 custody. She kept keeping her from me on I was supposed to have her, or when she had her, she would have her turn off her phone location of the phone that I paid for. I was still paying for her car, her gas, her insurance, everything. For 18 years, I've been supporting her, and turns out she, went out and cheated. And the crazy thing is, after a lot of stuff happened, I found out, who it was, and turns out I gave her the guy's phone number. So I won't say anything about the names of the person, but I mean, she didn't know, or she probably still doesn't know that I know who it was. But what I did was, she was doing a lot of things. She stole over like $200,000. She stole my life savings, basically, and got away with. She had two different savings accounts that she cleared out my business. I own a business. She cleared out my business account and did this while we were doing a temporary separation. We were supposed to be working on ourselves. And during that time, she opened up credit cards. She took over an Amazon account, opened up a credit card, and just started buying things that she was not planning on moving in. She bought 2 beds, dressers, 4 bedding sets, things like that. She just racked up these credit cards. And then I find out I'm over $100,000 in credit card debt, on top of her stealing my savings. And I recorded the bank calling me to let me know that she actually got caught stealing my inheritance. Stuff she wasn't even entitled to in a divorce. Things that they weren't in her name, but both of my parents are dead. So she got caught stealing $121,000, and in 2 different charges, 2 lump payments that she did using, committing fraud, posing as me online and creating a fake vendor account. And then, so I have those calls recorded. And it turns out once I gained access to those accounts again, I found out she got away with $35,000 out of that account prior. She did it for $5,000 this time. So then she continued to do this. I was trying to sweep all that under the rug for my daughters and do co-parent. Well, I mean, a lot of people would have flipped out even through that, but I started recording all of our phone calls. Now a lot of people were saying, "You're in California, don't record the calls," and I'll tell you what, I'll take the misdemeanor charge.
Yeah. Well,
According to PC 633.5, I'm immune to prosecution if this is involving kidnapping, which this does, and if it involves domestic violence, which this does. And the funny thing is, I found out on February 20th when I was getting changed in the middle of the night to go do an emergency job for one of my customers. My house lights up. I hear my name and address on the loudspeaker. Turns out that 2 SWAT teams were sent to my house. That's how I found out about all of this, that I was even getting arrested. And they just went based on her claim that I threatened her over a phone call. Well, remember what I said earlier, right? I recorded those calls. To this day, the detective, the LA County Sheriff's Detective Hardwick, I don't care about that guy's name. I have his calls recorded too. So he refused to take my statement. I have the body cam footage. Which looks really bad because this is her slandering me. But the funny thing is, she just lied about so many things. I have so much evidence. Like, I have videos and pictures of things that are just like, she says that supposedly this happened. I'm like, well, no, I have a video of us here at a softball game. What are you talking about? We're over here doing this. How could we be over here doing this? I have all the evidence to prove, exculpatory evidence. He still to this day refuses to look at it. He would not give me an email where I could send him the evidence. And I asked him, what kind of investigation does the cop do that? He only takes one person's side. So now he didn't want to know that he arrested the wrong parent, which I told him. So now my daughter is the reason that she came in. And the thing is, my stepson, who I've always got along with, he backed her up, So why was that? Because I was trying to get her to stop doing all the things that she was doing, keep my daughter from me, and doing all these things where it was just, she was making my life hell. I'm still working, trying to support her.
Hey, Phil, so, I don't mean to stop you, Phil, but my show time ends at 11 o'clock, and I'm right now gone over 10 minutes. And I want to continue this. I want to continue. Right. Right. I wanted to continue this if I can till tonight. If you want to come on tonight at 7 p.m.
What time Pacific time?
7 p.m.
7 p.m. Okay, yeah.
You're on the
Yeah,
same time as I am. And if it's tonight doesn't work for you, then tomorrow morning or tomorrow night. I'll be on every time. I'm on during the holidays. So we can talk more about this, Phil.
Okay.
And I'm so glad you called in. And I'm sorry the text was not working.
Yeah, no worries.
I noticed that. It stopped. Yeah.
We'll talk about it later.
Yeah, but anyway, you take care, Phil. Thank you for calling in.
Thank you too.
And I want to thank
No problem.
Archie Man from South Africa, from Liberia, for calling in. And of course, Phil for all that he's talked about. I want to give my best to all of you out there listening. Keep fighting for your children. Don't give up. God bless you. And Vincent Davis has a brief message that will follow my podcast when I leave. God bless you. And this is Bob Pace signing off. Well, come on, sign off. My mouse is not working. Oh, brother.
Feeling lost in the maze of CPS? Desperate to get your child back? You're not alone. Countless parents face the heart-wrenching reality of family separation. The legal system can be overwhelming, but there's hope.
Now, here's the key. Okay, that's how you win a 6-month hearing.
Thank you.
If you do all of those things, you're going to blow your social worker's mind, you're going to blow your attorney's mind, and you're going to blow away the judge.
With attorney Vincent W. Davis, a dedicated legal expert with 39 years of experience, committed to helping families like yours. Join his weekly live Q&A on Zoom, where you can ask your burning questions about CPS cases. Get the knowledge and strategies you need to fight for your child's return.
Alrighty, good evening everyone. This is a question and answer session for school, SKOOL, and this is the CPS school.
Are you ready to take control of your family's future? Join our school community for free to access weekly live Q&A sessions, or participate as a one-time guest. Don't let fear hold you back. Take the first step towards reuniting your family. Join us now.